Now on CoastTV News.
How one drink in West Ocean City became Maryland's state cocktail. Offshore wind project discussion tomorrow in Dover. A new Senate bill being discussed. And coming up in sports, highlights from the Delaware state title game in baseball. Cape Penelope wins it all for the third time ever.
And it was a dry, sunny, cool start to the month of June, but we are in for some big changes this week. A big warm-up. We could see our first 90-degree temperature of the season. That's all come up in my full forecast here in minutes.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Freshly squeezed oranges to the state cocktail. Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with the state of Maryland recognizing the newly announced state cocktail. Orange crushes for everyone. Harborside Bar and Grill celebrates being recognized as the creators of what is now the cocktail of Maryland. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Sapay shows us how this drink made waves all along the East Coast.
Chris Wall and Lloyd Whitehead have been owners of the Harborside Bar and Grill in West Ocean City since 1993, and they are the reason why the original Orange Crush is being recognized as the state cocktail of Maryland.
Let's hear it. We always like the idea of fresh squeezed juices and stuff like that, so we try to implement that into one of our cocktails, and it took off.
On Sunday, Harborside was packed full of people enjoying the Orange Crush cocktail. Charles Bidding, who's been a regular here for over 20 years, says Harborside makes a one-of-a-kind Orange Crush.
You cannot duplicate the Orange Crush at Harborside.
Maryland State Delegate Wayne Hartman recognized Harborside as the creators of the original Orange Crush cocktail and wanted to make sure everyone knows it's Maryland's cocktail, even though Delaware claimed it as theirs in 2024.
Representing this district and knowing where it started, we had to set the record straight.
So how do they make the iconic Orange Crush that has spread all along the East Coast? Longtime bartender Anthony Policelli gives us a behind-the-scenes look.
Orange smeared on vodka, like here, a triple sec. Do about a shot and a half of both. Fill the glass up halfway. And a lot of people like to put one orange in it, but you got to make sure the juice fills up the glass enough. See, there was one orange right there. We're not quite there. There's two. Everyone's different. Little splash of lemon lime soda on top. Give it a toss. Straw, garnish, and there it is.
And since I'm on the clock, we handed it off to a customer for the final verdict.
Fabulous. You can taste the orange and the vodka.
Now, although you can make your own Orange Crush at home, everyone I've talked to here today says no one quite makes it the same as where it all started. I'm Kevin Zapay. In West Ocean City, CoastTV News.
Last August is when then Governor John Carney signed House Bill 444. The bill officially designated the Orange Crush as the state cocktail of Delaware. The Orange Crush is now the proud symbol of Delaware and Maryland beach culture. We're now going to take a live look out to Milford, and the time is now 11:03, and we bring in our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobrono. And Chris, the weather has been all over the place from the storms yesterday and now the sun out today. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Brandon. I'll tell you what, people are going to be enjoying those Orange Crushes later on in the week after they see the forecast. But yeah, we started the weekend on a stormy note and we ended it on a cool, dry note, but there was a big warm-up in store. As we put a bow tie on the month of May, it was equal, below, and above normal as far as temperatures are concerned. Our warmest temperature was 87, coldest was 47. You can see we averaged about a degree above normal. Now, as far as rainfall, we had a soaking month. As far as rain is concerned, we had over 5 inches of rain, so we averaged over 1.5 inches of rain, so that was much needed. As we head into June, well, we're looking at relatively above normal temperatures. Now, as far as rainfall, precipitation is concerned, we're looking at about equal chances of seeing above or below normal precipitation. Highs today will be welcomed in June on a cooler note, a below average 70 degrees in Georgetown, 70 in Ocean City. The sun was out, it was dry, but the sky had a bit of a haze to it. That was all thanks to some Canadian wildfire smoke in the upper levels of the atmosphere. 58 currently in Salisbury. Right now, temperatures 63 Rehoboth, we're at 56 in Redden, 54 in Milford, and we are at 56 in Laurel. Winds are calm, skies are clear. We are seeing a weak disturbance to our south. Could graze far southern reaches of the peninsula tonight, but higher pressure building in, and that's going to be our friend as we roll into the week. A marvelous Monday with plenty of sunshine. I think the sky will be a bit bluer tomorrow, but we could see that haze roll back into Tuesday, and then the heat is going to be rolling in by the end of the week. And we talk about humidity levels rising as we go into Thursday and Friday. We'll talk more about that coming up in the full 7-day forecast. Brandon?
Thank you, Chris. The town of Georgetown is saying individuals are impersonating police officers to steal financial information and solicit money. Georgetown police will never ask you for banking details or demand payment over the phone. If someone does, it's a scam. Don't share personal info and always verify who you're speaking with. Delaware is launching a new initiative trying to make sure Delawareans have fair access to good jobs and training. Governor Matt Meyer signed an executive order to create an Office of Workforce Development within the Department of Labor. It also reestablishes and modernizes the Delaware Workforce Development Board. The two groups will work together to manage state and federal resources and improve services for employers and people looking for jobs in the first state. Offshore wind projects are back on the docket in Dover, and lawmakers are set to discuss a controversial bill tomorrow. A new Senate bill would prohibit counties from denying conditional use permit for electrical substations that meet certain conditions. And this comes after Sussex County denied offshore wind developer U.S. Wind a permit to build a substation near the now retired Indian River Power Plant. The Senate Environment, Energy, and Transportation Committee plan to discuss this proposal tomorrow. There's a public comment period ahead of their meeting, which is scheduled for 1 tomorrow afternoon. Virginia is silencing distractions in public schools. Governor Glenn Youngkin signed a pair of codifying the bill, bell-to-bell cell phone free education policy. This initiative was established through Executive Order 33. The rule restricts phone use from the beginning to the end of the school day with the goal of helping kids focus and improve their mental health. Accomack County Public Schools have already implemented this own cell phone policy. In sports tonight, a Sunday night state title game in Wilmington. DSN's Tim Nolan was at Frawley Stadium this evening for Cape Henlopen and Conrad.
For the third time in 7 years, Cape Henlopen baseball has won the state title in Delaware here at Frawley Stadium. The Vikings beat Conrad 6-4 tonight, capping a 21-1 2025 season. Let's get into those highlights. The Vikings scored first in the bottom of the first inning when Trey Hitchcock brought home Brady Kosh on an RBI groundout. Then in the third, the Vikings hung a 5-spot, including this Dominic Mangini RBI single to give Cape a 6-0 lead after 3. Conrad would respond with 3 of its own in the fourth, punctuated by this Jonathan Downs 2 RBI double to make it 6-3. The score would stay that way until the 7th, when Cape was 1 out away, but a drop ball in center allowed the Wolves to move a run closer. Out went starter Jackson Clampett. In came Jacob Smith for 1 pitch to seal it. Here's Ben Emick after his 3rd state title win with Cape.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him. Jackson, he threw a great game, and we thought we had it on the ball in center. It's a tough ball, and Trey just barely missed it. And, I have all confidence bringing Jacob in there to get that last out. I couldn't be more proud of how they competed today. It's a tough game to win no matter what, and to get a couple guys on and to just stay confident. And that's been the key for them all year, was to stay confident and know that the next pitch we could just make another play, and that's exactly what we did.
Congratulations once again to the Vikings on winning the 2025 DIAA State Crown. Reporting from Frawley Stadium in Wilmington, Tim Nolan, DSN.
Today marks the start of Pride Month. There will be parades, festivals, and concerts to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community. The New York Pride Parade is among the largest and well-known. About 2 million people attended in 2019. Pride Month started as a tribute to those who took part in the Stonewall riots. Pride Day itself is on June 28th. CoastTV spoke with a Milton local about the importance of Pride Month this year.
But the thing that I'm so excited about is none of us are giving in to the fear. I hopefully that this year will be bigger and louder and brighter than ever.
In national politics, senators return to Capitol Hill this week where they'll tackle President Donald Trump's spending bill dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill. It already passed the Republican-led House last month. The legislation would provide trillions of dollars in tax cuts while slashing federal support for programs like food stamps and Medicaid. As Jen Sullivan reports, the bill faces an uphill battle in the Senate.
Lawmakers return to Capitol Hill this week, and senators will be busy taking on President Donald Trump's ambitious spending bill that's being called the Big Beautiful Bill.
The president is very proud of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and he wants to see it pass. He wants the Senate to get to work on it and send it to his desk as quickly as possible.
The sweeping legislation slashes taxes and federal spending. It narrowly passed the Republican-led House last month, Democrats voting against it.
This bill actually hurts everyday Americans in order to reward billionaires.
The bill that passed the House makes cuts to programs like SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which provides food stamps for roughly 42 million Americans. It also would require Medicaid recipients ages 19 to 64 to work, volunteer, go to school, or participate in a job training program at least 80 hours a month to obtain or maintain coverage.
This Republican budget bill is an absolute disaster for the country, in particular for middle class and poor people.
Republicans are hoping the bill will help cover some of the country's massive deficit. The Congressional Budget Office says that over 8 years, the legislation would add another $3.8 trillion to the already huge U.S. debt. The Trump administration says that isn't true.
It doesn't increase the deficit or hurt the debt. In fact, it lowers it by $1.4 trillion.
President Trump has said he would like the legislation to clear the Senate by July 4th, but that may be an optimistic timeline. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Starting tomorrow, a new voice will be delivering the evening news you trust. Tom Yamas takes the helm as anchor of NBC News Nightly News. Be sure to tune in weeknights at 6:30 p.m. right here on Coast TV. And coming up tomorrow morning on Coast TV News, local school could lose police. Indian River funding for school resource officers from local police departments. That's coming up on tomorrow morning.
And we're looking at beautiful sunshine to start our Monday at the bus stop tomorrow. 54 degrees, a cool, dry day on tap. Temperatures, when you get that high of around 75, it gets even warmer from here on out. We'll talk all about it coming up in my full forecast.
Coming up next, the FBI calling an attack in Colorado a targeted terror attack. The attack happening at an awareness event about Israeli hostages held in Gaza, and a mass shooting in North Carolina. 1 dead, 11 hurt. We have the latest on these developing stories in just 60 seconds. FBI Director Kash Patel says agents are investigating a targeted terror attack today in Boulder, Colorado. The NBC affiliate in Denver is reporting that it happened at an outdoor event intended to raise awareness about Israeli hostages held in Gaza. An organizer for the event says a man holding bottles was waiting for them. The organizer, Miri Kornfeld, says the man threw the bottles and 5 people were burned, including 1 woman who was badly burned and had to roll on the ground to put out that fire. The victims were taken to a hospital.
As a result of these preliminary facts, it is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. Sadly, attacks like this are becoming too common across the country. This is an example of how perpetrators of violence continue to threaten communities across our nation.
1 person is dead and 11 others were hurt in an overnight mass shooting near Hickory, North Carolina. The county sheriff's office said shots rang out just before 1 a.m. at a home in the Mountain View area. A party had been held, taking place at the house at the time. A total of 12 people were shot, with 1 victim confirmed dead and another in critical condition. Officials said the other 10 victims are in serious condition in an area hospital. So far, no arrests have been made, and this investigation is ongoing. Ukrainian officials are claiming to have destroyed more than 50 planes deep inside Russian territory. A source within the security service of Ukraine tells NBC News that the country targeted 41 strategic Russian aircraft in an offensive operation codenamed the Spiderweb attack. One of the largest on Russian territory comes just hours before a new round of direct peace talks get underway in Istanbul and follows a night of Russian missile strikes on Ukraine that killed at least 12 service members. The source also released this video showing the drone attack at the airbase in Russia, nearly 3,000 miles from Ukraine. And on the heels of that attack, they're set to hold peace talks tomorrow in Istanbul. But it is unclear if any progress have been made. Ukraine confirmed it is sending a delegation to Turkey and Russia, and Russia says it will do the same. According to Ukraine, both sides agreed to exchange demands for a ceasefire. Ukraine says it presented its plan last week, but Russia has not. A federal appeals court ruled Friday that President Trump's mass firing at several agencies will remain on hold. In the ruling, the court said the Trump executive order at issue exceeds the president's power under the Constitution. The court also wrote the challengers were likely to succeed on the merits of their arguments that the layoffs were unlawful. The case was brought by federal employees, unions, and local government groups. Layoffs would have impacted nearly every cabinet-level department.
Well, it's going to be an absolutely picture-perfect start to the week. Cambridge and Crisfield, mostly sunny skies with highs in the lower 70s. Humidity and heat, we're going to be funneling in later on this week. We'll talk all about it in the full 70 forecast when CoastTV News at 11 comes right back. Well, we ended the weekend on a high note after those powerful storms pushed through the area yesterday. And if you like summer-like conditions and summer-like temperatures, you're going to like the forecast coming up. It has been a pleasant evening out there. Winds are calm. Temperatures are in the 50s, 58 in Salisbury. Up the coast, we're at 62. Rehoboth, 61. Bethany Beach, we're at 58. Long Neck, 58. Georgetown, and we are at 55 in Harrington. Now, as we go into the week, we're going to see plenty of sunshine. It is going to be absolutely perfect, but we may be dealing with some pesky Canadian wildfire smoke all the way up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, it doesn't pose an air quality threat at the moment. We'll kind of see how that handles throughout the next few days, but the sky may appear to be a little hazy, especially as we go into Tuesday. It's going to be a marvelous Monday. Wall-to-wall sunshine, comfortable humidity levels, temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Then as we go into Wednesday, we turn up the heat as we go into especially Thursday and Friday. Humidity levels are going to be rising and we make a run at 90 degrees by Thursday. We are rain-free, pretty quiet throughout much of the mid-Atlantic. We have high pressure building in. There's a little weak disturbance across the Carolinas, may graze Accomack County with a shower, a brief thunderstorm into the overnight, but most of the area stays dry. In fact, if you're lucky enough tonight, you may get a glimpse at the northern lights. We had a powerful solar storm today, and those northern lights may be visible all the way to the Gulf, and you could see through the overnight, we could see the peak of viewing of those northern lights. So maybe if you sneak out doors in the wee hours of the morning, you'll get a glimpse of that. Plenty of sunshine. We start the day around 52 degrees. We are going to rise pretty quickly to around 70 by around lunchtime with plenty of sunshine. As we go into Lewis, 72, the cool spot Rehoboth, 69, Dewey, 75, and we'll see low 70s from Bethany, Ocean City to Chicotee. Winds are going to be pretty calm as well. Mostly sunny through the afternoon, and then as we go into Tuesday, we are going to be up in the lower to mid 80s across the interior Delmarva. Looking at the 70s and 60s along the coast with a sea breeze kicking in. So there's that smoke potentially rolling over the area into Tuesday. So Tuesday could be a rather hazy day. We'll see if it affects air quality, but the thinking is most of this smoke is going to be in the upper levels of the atmosphere. There's that rise in temperature. 82 on Tuesday, 86 on Wednesday, getting close to the 90-degree mark on Thursday. Also, those humidity levels are going to be rising as well. So our average first 90-degree day is generally around May 24th. Our last 90-degree day was back last August 28th. We hit 98 degrees. The earliest we've seen 90-degree days, April 17th, 2002. And look at that. The latest we saw a 90-degree day was on July 13th, 1979. We could touch 90 on Thursday. Classic setup. We have high pressure Bermuda high funneling in that southwest wind, pumping in that heat and humidity, and the muggy meter, yes, we're going to break this out again this week. We're going to see those dew points go up into the 70s Friday into Saturday. So we're at 52 tonight, partly cloudy and comfortable, a gorgeous start to the week, 75, and then we are at 82 on Tuesday, and there's that rise in temperature, 88 into Thursday. We could see a threat of thunderstorms as a cold front moves through by Saturday, but temperatures staying above average through the extent of that 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Chris. And as you mentioned, dense smoke is sweeping down from wildfires burning in Canada, where it's so bad the U.S. is sending in help to get them under control. The smoke is extending deep into the U.S. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist shows us more.
Tonight, smoky skies still threatening air quality for millions in the upper Midwest.
That wildfire smoke continues to hover over the state.
We do have an air quality alert out for the entire state of Minnesota until Monday.
Warnings going out to primarily people with sensitive breathing conditions as smoke and haze are carried across the border from Canada's Manitoba province. More than a dozen wildfires have been burning there for days. The smoke coming from Canada reaching all the way to the Georgia-Florida border. North Dakota environmental officials warning residents as forecasts show their air could hit the very unhealthy range, dangerous for all groups.
And so when there's wildfires burning there, we feel it here. It just makes life more difficult.
Also this weekend, 14 million people in the West under heat alerts. Temps could reach 110 degrees, possibly hitting records in places like Las Vegas, Reno, and Sacramento. And tonight, 4 million people in the nation's midsection at risk for severe weather, including Kansas and Oklahoma, with forecasters expecting thunderstorms, hail, and potentially tornadoes. This following Friday night's storms in the east, setting off tornado warnings from North Carolina all the way up to the D.C. region. A Maryland man capturing time-lapse video of a funnel cloud forming in the eastern part of the state. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, a massive cleanup effort moves forward after an EF2 surprise tornado Friday morning. Winds up to 125 miles an hour, demolishing homes and killing one person in Washington County. That as the peak of spring severe weather season ends today and hurricane season starts tomorrow.
Coming up, pause and policy. The rules haven't changed, but some say it's time they do. A look at where and when dogs are allowed on Delaware beaches. There are lots of dog lovers here on the coast. A number of them like to bring their favorite four-legged friend to the beach for a bit of fun. But with the official start of summer just weeks away, rules are now in place that limit when you can bring your dog to the beach. I had the chance to catch up and show you with one you can and one you can't hit the sand with man's best friend. Walking your dog on the beach, a peaceful activity that many of us enjoy, but in towns like Dewey and cities like Rehoboth and Lewis, you're not always allowed to do so. Some dogs say they're not big fans of these restrictions. Starting in Lewis from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., no dogs are allowed on the beach, and your dog must be leashed at all times. In the nation's summer capital, no dogs are allowed at any time on the beach or the boardwalk. Zoe Elsie was walking her dog in Rehoboth Wednesday and says beach restrictions could cause a safety problem.
I mean, it's kind of awful because we don't really have sidewalks down these roads, so it puts owners in a complicated position. Also, most of our dogs, like my dog's super friendly.
For Lewis and Rehoboth, the rules are in place until September 30th. Heading down the coast to Dewey Beach before 9:30 a.m. or after 5:30 p.m. are the times you're allowed to bring man's best friend to the beach. That's where Greg Gonzalez runs Jungle Jim's Total Pet Care. He thinks other coastal communities should follow in Dewey's footsteps.
I think we love the fact that Dewey's a dog town, and we think that Rehoboth should kind of learn from us a little bit and think, fully, we obviously love dogs here, so we're just excited to have the doggies here, and they should be able to go on the boardwalk, in our opinion, too.
Rules are in place in Dewey Beach until 1 week after Labor Day. In Dewey Beach, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News. Heading down the coast in Ocean City, dogs aren't allowed on the beach or boardwalk from May 1st through September 30th. But there is a spot just for them, the Ocean City Dog Playground, located at 94th Street and Bayside. It offers daily, multi-day, and annual passes. but registration is required. We have a full list on seasonal pet restrictions on Delmarva. Head over to our website, CoastTV.com. And we're now going to take a live look into Salisbury, and after the break here on Coast TV News at 11, meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono has a look at your weather. Each Friday, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. It's full of features, cool things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/sign-up.
And hope everyone had a wonderful weekend, and we're starting a new week, and it is going to be a fantastic week with warming temperatures. Live look into Salisbury, where it is 58 degrees, dew point 53, winds are calm, temperatures are going to be falling into the lower to mid 50s overnight under partly cloudy skies. Now, as we head into the week, we're going to see plenty of sunshine. Again, we could be dealing with some of that haze in the upper levels of the atmosphere from that wildfire smoke from Canada, but we are at 75 into Monday, really a win-win forecast here, 82 into your Tuesday. And then as we go into Wednesday, that is really the start of that summer-like feel where we're going to see temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, and then the humidity is going to be on the rise, especially as we go into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Alert Weather Phone, sponsored by Brockstead, Mundalis, and Federico. Now, your 10-day forecast shows 88 on Thursday. I do think some areas on Delmarva are going to touch 90 on Thursday. Humidity, dew points increase Friday into Saturday. Now, watch a cold front move through on Saturday. That could spawn showers and storms with the higher humidity that we're going to have in play. And then it turns a bit unsettled as we go into the start of the end of this 10-day forecast. We could be dealing with some rain there and some unsettled weather. But Brandon, enjoy the warmth. We deserve it after quite a cool and unsettled stretch over the last 2 weeks.
Thank you for that, Chris. I'm banking on 90s on Thursday, so I'm going to hold you to that. Thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. We'll see you in just a few hours for Coast TV News today, starting at 5 a.m. Have a great night.